Today I'm taking you to Kosovo. In this quick video, I'll show you why I believe Kosovo is one of the most underrated destinations in Europe. And potentially one of the cheapest as well, if not the cheapest. I spent about 3 days in Kosovo and I'll show you my highlights of Pristina as well as Prizren. We got to Pristina in a minibus because we came from North Macedonia. Pristina is a great city to visit. Now, because of all the political unrest in the 90s and the NATO interventions, some people still think today that Kosovo is a no-go zone. Not the case at all. It's actually a great touristy destination, if you ask me. And the locals are very friendly. In the distance, you can see a bit of a new cathedral. This is the Mother Teresa Cathedral. A huge Catholic building for a country that is 90% Muslim. This is the library, by the way, a very interesting building. Apparently there was a vote somewhere where they were trying to vote for it to be the second ugliest building in the world. Anyway, before to visit Pristina town center, we jumped on a bus to go and see the bear sanctuary. The bus station in Pristina is a bit outside of the town center. It's about half an hour walk. To take a bus to the bear sanctuary, you'd have to take a bus direction Gjilan and stop at Mramor. Once you're off the bus, it's quite a long walk, about 2 kilometers. In the summer, they have a free shuttle bus, but not at the time when we visited. At the time of recording, so that's October 2025, the entry fee for the sanctuary is only €3. By the entrance, you'll find this little board with pictures of all the bears. There were 18 of them when we visited. You can find their names as well as their stories. The individual story of each of the bears, as well as their rescue, is published on the sanctuary's website as well. All of the bears have been rescued from illegal captivity in Kosovo as well as Albania. Most of them were kept as restaurant bears or attractions somehow in small cages. Although most of them have been rescued years ago, like Vinny here, some of them still show stereotypical behaviors of captive bears, pacing back and forth again. It can be a bit sad to watch, but after spending years in a little cage, with no intellectual stimulation whatsoever, that's what happens. But they are happy and well treated now. This bear over here is also showing the same type of behavior, going around and around. The sanctuary is located 23 kilometers away from Pristina, by the way. If you can't be bothered with bus and walk, the sanctuary has a deal with a taxi company. They can get you a taxi back into town for €12. As well as the stories of the individual bears, you'll see those little before and after pictures. A bit sad sometimes. It's a great place to visit with kids as well. It's very family friendly with this type of little attractions like the labyrinth here. You'll be confronted to a few questions. You need to pick an answer, left or right. If you get it wrong, you might be lost in the labyrinth. Luckily, I freed myself very quickly. Reading the story of those bears can be heartbreaking. Anik, for example, spent 13 years in a cramped cage with 4 others, surrounded by concrete. He's now playing with his mates in the pool, Hannah and Mal. And Vinny, the one going around and around, he's now got a girlfriend called Cassandra. The brown bears, by the way, they live about 20 to 25 years on average. Their mating season is in June. But fertilized eggs do not nest in the uterus for months. They are dormant until the autumn. They only develop once the bear has eaten enough food, sufficient quantities to survive the winter. Feeding time now. The staff has just dropped a lot of carrots and everything. Sleeping Harry was born in 2003. He was rescued from a mini zoo with terrible conditions. He's the only one that doesn't swim. He only splashes a little bit of water on himself. Now back to Pristina for a few drinks in the evening. There were a lot of young people enjoying themselves. You may have an image of Kosovo as a very poor country, and the economy is not the best. Yet in Pristina, most people are very classy on the street. Most were definitely better dressed than we were. Anyway, time to go for a little dinner. Food is also very affordable in Kosovo. 5 kifte plus the grilled pepper on the bread for €5. Kifte, it's like a mini beef burger. The next morning we walked down towards the bus station to go for a day trip to Prizren, the second biggest city in Kosovo, as well as the prettiest, I believe. But for now we're still in Pristina, on the Mother Teresa Boulevard. A very pretty pedestrian street. This gentleman on the statue was a peaceful protester, because not everyone was rebelling violently. Some tried peaceful political rebellion. Pristina, by the way, it is the youngest capital in Europe. 40% of the population is under 25 years old. We felt old! The average age in Pristina is about 27, 28 years old. It's mainly because they had a baby boom after the war. After 1999. Anyway, you might spot those little posters around town. Those are put up to alert the local community when somebody passes away. If the rectangular is green, they were Muslims. Black would be Catholic. Now, we are now on the bus to Prizren. You can jump on a bus from the bus station. You don't need to book ahead. The buses are very frequent and they cost €5. The ride is about 2 hours, and you can see the snowy mountains in the distance. Prizren is a beautiful old city. You might wonder why they are using the euro, by the way. Kosovo is not yet part of the European Union. It's a bit of a tricky one because some of the countries in the EU don't even recognize Kosovo as a country. Actually, before to use the euro, Kosovo used the German Dutch mark for a little while. As you can see, the weather was lovely. That was beginning of October. We were very lucky though, because a few days earlier it was snowing. Apparently that's quite unusual, but it happened. You'll see those Albanian flags everywhere. You'll probably see more Albanian flags than Kosovo flags. Now, time for a little coffee. It is said that Kosovo has some of the best macchiatos anywhere. I had a couple. They were nice. Would I say they were the best? I don't know. Now let's go and take a look at the Catholic Church. Kosovo is about 90% Muslim, 5% Catholic, as well as 5% Orthodox. This is the Catholic Church. It has been rebuilt on the site of a much older church. They found remains of that in the garden, or graveyard, I suppose. The Catholic community has a strong connection to Mother Teresa. Although she was born in Skopje, Macedonia, she was from a Catholic Albanian family from here. That's why they're building a huge cathedral with her name in Pristina. It's interesting, although we are in a Catholic church, we can hear the Muslim praise from the mosque next door. Now those two busts, they are heroes of the resistance against the Ottoman from the 15th century. That one here, Janos, he had been captured as a kid by the Ottoman. So he was raised by them and then rebelled. A bit like Vlad the Impaler in Transylvania. We talked about that when we talked about Dracula. Here are both the Kosovo and Albanian flags. You'll see a lot of people enjoying a coffee in the sun. Coffee is very much part of the culture over here. It doesn't mean those people have no jobs. They probably work locally and are on a break. Going to enjoy a coffee with work colleagues, probably a few times a day. Let's go and take a quick look into the church. This is a little Orthodox church. Serbia is mainly Orthodox. Actually, you can see some Serbian money here in the donation basket. So after the breakdown of Yugoslavia, Kosovo was originally part of Serbia. Some people would argue that it still is, but I'm not going political here. The Kosovars were badly treated, and that's why they had to fight for their freedom. The majority of the population in Kosovo is originally from Albania. This is another Orthodox church. Beautiful building. The minimum wage in Kosovo, it's not much. It's about 600 euro a month. So it is far lower than it is in Western Europe, but most of the population, over 90% of the population, own their apartments here. So at least they don't have to pay for a rent. Otherwise, you'd probably have to spend 300 euros a month in a rent for a flat. Now, if you take a look at the souvenirs over here, check out the magnet on the left. It's the Albanian flag inside the Kosovo map. Interesting. As you can see, Prizren is a lovely place for a walk. The old town is amazing. And it's not overly touristy yet. Of course, you will hear the sound of prayer 5 times a day. Although the vast majority of the population is of the Muslim faith, they are not necessarily very strong into the practice of Islam. The majority of the ladies do not cover their hair. Some people enjoy alcohol. Let's go and take a quick look into the Sinan Pasha Mosque. Beautiful building. They've preserved those old little donation points. As of course, charity is very important in Islam, to help people in need. This is the stone bridge over here, the oldest one. Now let's go for a quick lunch. A lot of the food in Kosovo is very close to the Turkish food. But this is local. This is a sultan sandwich with tomatoes, sausages and dry meat. It cost about €4. And if after lunch you feel a bit thirsty, there is a water fountain, but you'd have to be careful, as it is cursed. If you drink from the fountain once, you'll come back to Prizren. If you drink too much, you'll get married in Prizren. I did drink over a liter. I hope that's not too much. Although I suppose if I have to get married, Prizren is not a bad place to do so. Maybe not, because there's no same-sex marriage in Kosovo yet. One day maybe. The yellow building here, that is the Jewish house. It can't be called a synagogue because you don't have enough Jewish community over here. There are only 2 families apparently. But one of them is related to the Kosovan ambassador in Israel. Anyway, this is door 52, a traditional door to the city of Prizren. It served for 200 years, now it's been preserved. But because it leads to nowhere, apparently tour guides often say it's a door to the future. Now let's go and take a look at another water source. This little fountain here, it is said to be the best water for black tea. As well as coffee, locals here in Kosovo also drink a lot of black tea. But apparently some of the older generation, they do not believe that there's no chlorine in this water. So they jump over the wall to get the water from there, the original source. But apparently some of them are a bit old and not very flexible anymore, so they get stuck behind the wall. Now, in the old town, you might also be confused by the numbers 92 or 42, 102 or 56. It has been renumbered and they kept the old numbers. And when you have 2 flats, you have 2 numbers anyway. Luckily, there's no Amazon delivery drivers yet. There's no Amazon in Kosovo yet. And even the normal post, apparently sometimes they don't come to your door. They just ring you saying, "Come down, I'm on the bridge." This tree is said to be 500 years old. Now, time for a drink. Buza. It is a fermented cereal drink. Some of you might remember the drink if you've seen my video of Istanbul. Now, this is the museum of Prizren. It was closed on the day we visited, but probably quite a nice place to visit. And this is the former hammam. I don't think they're open at the moment. And this is the sad monument to people that lost their lives with the Kosovo War. Apparently, the conflict was even worse in the countryside than in the city. Now, the names are interesting. In Kosovo, your name is your first name, chosen by your parents, followed by your dad's first name, and then your last name. So I guess I would be Natalie Ivkerio then. And let's go up to the fortress for sunset. You probably don't want to be wearing high heels because it's quite steep, and all the way up it's cobblestones. The fortress is free to enter. Like many attractions and museums in Kosovo, it's amazing. Imagine how much money they could make if they charged. The fortress is very old. It was already there in Byzantine times. But most of what we see today, it has been rebuilt by the Ottoman. So we're talking 17th or 18th century. The view is amazing. It's a great place to come for sunset. Apparently, they also do music festivals up here. But again, careful with the flooring. Even if you're not wearing high heels, if you are a bit drunk, those can be quite dangerous, I suppose, in the middle of a music festival in the dark. You might have a few stray dogs as well up there coming to enjoy the sunset with you. There are a lot of stray dogs in Kosovo, but they are tagged. The tag in their ears means that they've been neutered as well as vaccinated, so you won't get rabies. We did not stay in Prizren after the sunset. We jumped back on a bus back to Pristina. In terms of hotel prices, to give you an idea, in Pristina we had a full apartment, one-bedroom flat in the city centre for €22 a night. Some people say Kosovo is the cheapest country in Europe. In terms of the food, I'm not convinced. I think North Macedonia was actually cheaper in terms of food. But in terms of hotels and attractions, most of the attractions are free anyway. So that's definitely a bargain. And also, people are lovely. No one's tried to rip us off or anything like that. We were talking about people's name earlier. What I find very funny, local people are very grateful to Tony Blair as well as Bill Clinton for their help, They actually have a statue of Tony Blair, not in Pristina, not in Prizren, it's in a different city. And they also have a statue of Bill Clinton. I'll show you that at the end of the video. But apparently some people have also started to name their kids Tony Blair. Literally Tony Blair as a first name, or only Blair sometimes. They have a footballer called Blair. And apparently they also do it with Bill Clinton, not as often as Tony Blair. But apparently some kids are called Bill Clinton. As a first name, imagine if you immigrate to the US and you're like, "Hey, I'm Bill Clinton." Another little stray friend. Right, we are back in Pristina for dinner. And again, we can eat for less than $5. Now that's really cool. See, the red traffic light for pedestrians is projecting on the pavement. So you can't pretend you've not seen the light. And this is again the Mother Teresa Cathedral. It's just been finished a few years ago. Well, it's not even open to the public yet. Time for a drink. €3 for a pint or €5 for a cocktail. Again, that's quite rare in Europe. This is a sad monument to the missing. Sadly, after the war, over 1,000 bodies were never recovered. And this is the Kosovo National Museum here in Pristina. Sadly, it was closed when we visited. This was open though. This is an Ottoman house, free to enter as well, mainly from the 18th century. It is now owned by the Ministry of Culture. And it's free! I love the living room with those little chairs. Apparently it is good to sit on a little chair like this because you cannot eat too much. Now let's go up to the guest room. You'll see the gate is quite low. Even I can touch the top and I'm 5 foot something. It is because the guest had to bow. Because they were guests, they had to show respect. So this is the guest room. And you can also sleep in the cupboard. Look. And let me show you the bathroom. So that's a little hammam here. The rest of the old town in Pristina is not very beautiful. Sadly, because it's been destroyed a lot through the war as well. And this is the monument to Yugoslavia with the 8 statues representing the 8 countries. And this is a teqball table. I've never seen that before. You play with your feet, like football. Now let's go back on the Mother Teresa Boulevard. There's a statue of Mother Teresa here. As we mentioned earlier, she was from an Albanian Catholic family, but she had moved to Dublin to learn English. Now if you look up there, this is a mural to honor Dua Lipa, the British Albano-Kosovar singer. And this is a statue of Madeleine Albright, the Secretary of State under Bill Clinton. Now let's take a look at the newborn monument. This represents the newborn Kosovo. They repaint it every year. Here is another moving monument. It is called Heroinat. Heroines in English. Sadly, during the war, 20,000 ladies were sexually abused by the different forces. So this is 20,000 little medals to honor them. Now let's take a look at a mural that's also quite sad. This is a local actress. She died of breast cancer. And the orange figure, it is a Neolithic artifact in terracotta, a pagan goddess on the throne, that was uncovered in Pristina in 1956. And this funny-looking building, this is the abandoned Serbian Orthodox Church. They are planning to maybe reopen it as a nightclub soon. That'll be fun. Now let's go into the prison museum, also free. The prison was built in the 1950s. At the time, they had a capacity of 150 to 200. No toilets at the time. In the late 1980s and 1990s, a lot of Albanian rebels were locked in here. This political activism was illegal, so the Albanian resistance were locked in here and abused. Some of them terribly treated, some of them died. It finally closed in 2015, now it is a museum. But after 1999, bathrooms were placed in there, and the number of prisoners went down to 26. This was the shaving room, because they had to be shaved, their hair as well, for hygiene and also so they couldn't hide anything in their hair, any objects. So quite a gruesome prison. Let's go and take a look at the courtyard as well, because the courtyard was quite horrible. It would be used for exercise, 15 minutes of walk a day. But also to wash the prisoners, they'll be placed naked in there and sprayed with cold water. Any season. This is the visitors' room. Fairly new. Now, out of the prison, would you believe this little shop is actually named after Hillary Clinton? And let's go and take a look at Bill Clinton. There he is. Bill Clinton is very much admired over here. Anyway, that's it for today. If you are planning a trip and have any questions, pop them down in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Bye.